Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy. 4 nerds by nerds. Hang out with this nerd.
Ted.
And today we're going to go over the 3 things you need to know whether or not the general population in your world is aware of magic or not.
Hey, jump down the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy the newsletter, get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
So rumor is we have a viewer suggestion today.
Indeed we do. Gustavo reached out to us and says, all right, how aware is the general populace of, let's say, a D&D setting when a wizard or a spellcaster casts a spell? If I say bippity boppity boo or, any other kind of magical phrase and people hear that, are they thinking I'm crazy or are they understanding that magic is happening? If I waggle my fingers and something odd happens, does everyone know magic took place or not?
I think that the answer to that really is it depends on your world. It depends on the game you're running and how prevalent magic is in the world.
So let's just say, let's for starters, let's talk about Forgotten Realms. That's the general accepted place with the current edition of D&D. You've got archmages that literally, walk around all over the place. Magic is pretty prevalent. So would you say the common person or a tower guard would be more aware that magic is taking place when this stuff happens? Or would they be more susceptible to something like a deception check or an insight check or that kind of stuff?
Well, you also have the instance of like superstition, right? How prevalent is superstition in your world? So this creates this other kind of space that people can think magic's going on when it's not, just because they're superstitious.
Right.
And then there's the idea of the layman, the common man, who is going to see someone performing magic or see a magic phenomenon and have a better understanding where it is. So there's those two things, and and the one can happen in any kind of world, right? The one that's superstitious, they make the sign for the evil eye or whatever when something happens, or there's traditions that you observe when something that's considered good luck or bad luck or something like that. Now that, that person is probably not going to know either way, really.
That's true.
Because they could be doing it in a setting where there is no magic.
Right.
But then the other factor is, I feel like the more metropolitan areas, then the more likely you are to know about magic and have been exposed to it.
So if you're in the kingdom and there happens to be a wizard's tower either within the city walls or, within a short ride, people will have more access to magic or more likelihood of knowing what it is, whereas in a more rural or unsettled area, they've heard of magic, but they don't know what it is.
Right. They're not familiar with workings, where, maybe in a world where it's very prevalent, there's magic performers on the street, that do tricks for coins or something like that, with prodigious prestidigitation. That's the word I was looking for. So they've actually seen magic workings, or there's a lot of bards who incorporate magic into their performance. But if you're further and further away from those towns where there's less likelihood of being a mage college or, less populous for someone to perform for, then you may see it once in your lifetime, even in like a Forgotten Realms. And then there's another level after that. There's Eberron. Right. Like where magic is actually replacing technology, and it's a common thing for ever burning torches to light your streets at night. And you have basically the equivalent of a magic printing press. So so in that case it becomes more and more.
I mean, they even have a magic train.
Yes.
So
and airships. But the other side of that is, does it then become easier to trick people into thinking you are doing magic because of that?
I would think so. I mean, if you've got a deception or a bluff, depending upon what edition of the game you're playing, if you're in a world where magic is that prevalent, it's in your face, it's an everyday thing. If you happen to be good at something, you could convince someone that you're good at it because of magic, and you could do a card trick and literally just be doing sleight of hand, but because you're good enough at it, you could fake it with magic.
So, like, this creates, like, these three instances, right? Of one being you think it's magic because you don't understand it and you're superstitious, and it could be anything.
Right.
You know, the other is there is so much magic that it's easier to convince someone that something is magic because you're just used to seeing it.
Even when it's not.
Right. And then there's, like, this middle ground where you may have been exposed to magic or not, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to automatically know. Like, because I think to use this very specific example, if a mage is casting suggestion on someone and someone observes that, do they know the spell was cast?
And that was what got Gustavo had put as his suggestion of, okay, how do I handle this situation? And honestly, I think it's got to come down to, because he actually did some research and said, I can't find anything in the books. I can't find anything specific online. And this is where, 5th edition kind of steps in and says, well, we want you to figure that out in your game. We want you as the DM to kind of make these on-the-fly decisions and figure out what's going to work best for your world, your game, and your group.
Well, so even with that, right, you got to go, okay, where are they playing? Are they playing in Forgotten Realms? Well, where are they in Forgotten Realms? Are they in Waterdeep, where there's crazy shit going on all the time? Or are they in the 10 towns?
Right.
In Icewind Dale. So that's going to be like in Icewind Dale. Yeah, sure, they've heard of magic, but that's not the same as seeing it. Are we also going off of the standard, he's not trying to conceal what he's doing at all? Is it just, boom, boom, one of these, or, is it something else? Like, so that part is kind of tricky. It's like you have to look at the specific spell and see what the components are. Is there a material component? Is there a somatic component? Is there a verbal component? Does it actually say in the description how you affect the spell?
The other thing that you also want to look into is what you're actually suggesting, and how that's gonna play in, because I believe suggestion has a saving throw.
Yes.
And in Star Wars, I'm recently watching Rebels, and at one point in time, they do the I'm going to tell you what to do, and he makes the hand gesture. The hand gesture's never really observed, and it's amusing whenever this happens. But the Jedi or the person doing it wasn't strong enough to convince the stormtrooper, so he's like, who are you to tell me what to do? It's like he reacted to the actual phraseology. So you want to look at that kind of stuff.
It's not the first instance, though. In the prequels, when they try and use it on, the guy that owns Anakin.
Yeah, the Toydarian.
Yeah.
Toydarians don't work on me. Only money.
Yeah. So there is that kind of thing. Like, in that space, that's like spell per spell cases too. Like, so, like, I don't know if it still is, but in previous editions, you had to eat a grasshopper leg to jump, right? Well, I would say you could do that without someone observing you're actually sticking the grasshopper leg in your mouth.
Right.
You could be, brushing your beard or, scratching an itch or something. Exactly. And then you perform the jump spell. So you just have to use common sense on what the spell is. Burning, yeah, like that's burning hands, right? If the sheet of flame didn't give it away anyway.
Yeah, you stick out your hands like this and flame her up. Say, hey, look at that! Someone's using magic. If you're just trying to convince someone, it's very easy to have a conversation between a couple people. And all right, well, this guy starts talking. You go through your, I'm going to mumble whatever I need to say. I'm just kind of fiddle with my fingers here, and I'll kind of step out from behind the guy and unleash my spell. That'll clearly give you, the other guy is distracted, even if you're going to allow some kind of perception check on that to distinguish.
And some spells are just designed to be subtle, right? Like, I envision suggestion to be one of those. Where some are going to be a lot more grandiose, and it's like you're performing kung fu, with your somatics. Where others are going to be a little more subtle, where you're maybe just wiggling your fingers or something like that. And it might be easy for you to easy to be missed or just be mistaken for normal gestures that people make.
Right.
So that's the other thing. If your world has a lot of magic in it, then you have to look at the spell itself. What does the spell description say? Does it tell you exactly what you have to do when you're casting this spell? And then you just kind of use common sense and be like, well, is that something that's going to be easily observed? And it's a world where there's a lot of magic going on. And even in a world where there's a lot of magic, you might not see a lot of high-level spells being cast as well. So that could change it as well.
And there's one other thing to address, and that is the fun. Now, as the DM, we're set forth as the story maker, the guide, the challenge, where all these different things that go into it. If you feel that it will be more fun for everyone overall to have it be where, all right, in some instances, this guy might happen to know, oh yeah, well, holy crap, he's casting magic on me. Then have fun with it. If you feel like, all right, this person is using a resource to try and get through an obstacle that would normally be a combat, hey, if it's more fun to RP your way through, great, let them have it. We are the adjudicators in these situations, and sometimes the fun's got to win.
So it basically breaks down, what is the world you're playing in? What is it like? And what is the particular, where in that world are you? And then what are the particular circumstances? So they're the three things that you're going to probably have to look at and decide. There is no blanket yes or no, I'm afraid, on this one. But in the comments below, you guys can throw down some more factors that you think that Gustavo should consider as well. While you're at it, like, share, and subscribe.
You can check us out over on Facebook.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.
Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy. 4 nerds, by nerds, hang out with this nerd.
Ted.
And today we're going to go over the 3 things you need to know whether or not the general population in your world is aware of magic or not.
Hey, jump down the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy the newsletter, get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
So rumor is we have a viewership.
The general accepted place with the current edition of D&D, you've got archmages that literally, walk around all over the place. Magic is pretty prevalent. So would you say the common person or a tower guard would be more aware that magic is taking place when this stuff happens? Or would they be more susceptible to something like a deception check or an insight check or that kind of stuff?
Well, you also have the instance of like superstition, right? How prevalent is superstition in your world? So this creates this other kind of space that people can think magic's going on when it's not, just because they're superstitious.
Right.
And then there's the idea of the layman, the common man. Suggestion today.
Indeed we do. Gustavo reached out to us and says, all right, how aware is the general populace of, let's say, a D&D setting when a wizard or a spellcaster casts a spell? If I say bibbidi boppity boo or, any other kind of magical phrase and people hear that, are they thinking I'm crazy or are they understanding that magic is happening? If I waggle my fingers and something odd happens, does everyone know magic took place or not?
I think that the answer to that really is it depends on your world. It depends on the game you're running and how prevalent magic is in the world.
So let's just say, for starters, let's talk about Forgotten Realms. That's